Hello and welcome to Rule of Three's video review for Fatal Frame, Maiden of Black Water from Koei Temco and Nintendo for the Nintendo Wii U. So this is the fifth game in the Fatal Frame main series. The fourth one being Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, which never came west, so screw you, Nintendo. Apparently that one was really good too. Personally, I love Fatal Frame 1 through 3. Like I said, I played 4 for a little bit when my friend's Wii U was homebrewed, and we played the Japanese version of Mask. And from what we could play and understand, it was pretty awesome. And then things happened; we couldn't play it anymore due to his sister overwriting the homebrew, and then we just got too lazy to redo it. But anyway, I was really excited to hear that Maiden of Black Water was coming west. I was worried that just like Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, this one wasn't going to come over, and Fatal Frame was just going to be basically dead in the water. As a special note, this is also a digital-only game. There is no hard copy to get in the West. You have to buy it through the digital store. However, you can also demo the game. The prequel, Chapters 1 and 2 are free. Anything after that, you do have to pay the full price to get the rest of the game. So with that, I'm going to go get into the review.
My name is Fuyuhi Humino. I've been waiting for her to tell me if she could help me find someone. I still haven't got a reply from her. You're looking for someone? She might have gone to the mountain. Mount Hikami.
So the story of Maiden of Black Water follows three different characters. Yuri Kozukata, who is basically a assistant to an investigator, a occult investigator of missing people and spirited people who've been spiriting away. She's probably the main character. Ren Hojo, who is an author and a friend of Yuri, he goes to the mountain to the main area to research a book about the goings on of the mountain, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And Miyu Hanasaki, who is the daughter of Fatal Frame protagonist Miku Hanasaki. So it's cool to see a connection to Fatal Frame 1. So on the other half of the story is these three characters go to this mountain called Hikami Mountain, which is an infamous spot for suicides. People will just go there, never come back, and usually commit suicide there. So due to situations, someone goes missing, and Ren's boss is, or not Ren's boss, Yuri's boss is hired to go find someone who has disappeared on the mountain. This in turn brings everybody else into the mountain to first find this person and then eventually figure out why this mountain is cursed, as there are ghosts and crazy people and insane things going on this mountain. That's all I'm going to get into for the story. On the whole, I was a little disappointed. I don't know. The characters were, Fatal Frame's always had kind of really, really, really dull characters. I don't know why, they always have. And this one I think has some of the duller ones, in my personal opinion. It also doesn't help that the main ghost isn't as creepy or scary as at least 1 through 3s are. There's also the fact that I was looking forward to this game because it deals with suicide. Which I'm going to say in this review I've had troubles with in the past. Back in high school I was suicidal, and this hits kind of close to home, at least when talking about this. But anyway, I was hoping it would go deeper into kind of the mentality and how dark and how dark suicide is, and it never quite does it. It more or less just kind of uses that as a reason for, why people go missing. And you do see some of the suicides on the mountain, which are brutal. But it doesn't get into kind of the mentality of why these people are committing suicide, or even why these ghosts are trying to get people to commit suicide. So it was a little disappointing on that front, too. So, yeah, like I said, out of the three I've played, this is definitely the weakest story one and character wise as well.
Mount Hikami. A place where many come to take their lives. I'm positive that Fuyuhi must have come here.
Okay, gameplay. Let's start with basic gameplay. You walk around, explore the mountain, trying to find whatever it is the goal is. All you have is the camera obscura, which you use to take pictures of ghosts. If you time it right, you can get fatal frames, which is basically when the ghosts attack. If you time it right, you can get a fatal frame, which does bonus damage and any stutter chances to get additional quick picks and kill ghosts as quickly as possible. There are different film types. Each one does different amounts of damage. The better the film, the more damage. Ghosts also have multiple weak spots. It's no longer just their head. Sometimes there'll be something on them or somewhere else, as well as also having just kind of a bunch of other kind of smaller points that if you all hit at once, you do a little bit more damage, and you can create what's called a shatter chance by hitting them enough times to do kind of a super attack of some, to push them back. There's different types of lenses and power-ups that you can do to give your films different abilities like slowing, pushback, and stuff like that. The usual fatal frame equipment's pretty much all back. And that's the base of combat. Like I said, it's not hugely changed from the past ones. The biggest difference from at least the gameplay point of view is the use of the gamepad as kind of the camera. You can use either the gyroscope and the right stick to control the camera and character, or just use the right stick and left stick and control the camera and movement that way. But you can also have to move the controller in such a way to make pictures either vertical or horizontal, or if you want to talk picture phrase a portrait or landscape, to find all the weaknesses and kind of get the best shot of a ghost to do the most damage, depending on where weak spots are. Because if you have one on their head and like one on their lower body, you're best going back and flipping into a portrait versus a landscape. If maybe it's all in the upper body, you can do more of a portrait, which is the easiest one to do because it's just a pain in the rear to do everything else. But talking about this control scheme, I do like using the camera, the gamepad as the camera with the gyroscope. It is a lot more difficult. If you play on hard and do this, it is the hardest difficulty in my opinion. Mostly because it's a pain in the rear to use the right trigger stick to move, because when you flip the gyro, when you're turning and trying to flip the camera to get a better angle, the right stick doesn't compensate. So you have to kind of remember which way's up, down, left, right, because it's no longer that if it's sideways, which is kind of one of my biggest issues with the game. Is that because even when you're not, playing with the gyroscope and you want to turn it side, do a portrait picture to hit him better, you still have to remember that it's not up, down, left, right, and doesn't compensate for that. So that kind of sucked. Movement speed also is ridiculously slow. I do not understand why I haven't sped up that. Combat speed is very slow still. It takes forever to kill one ghost. So you kind of, like I said, that's where fatal frames and stutter chances come in handy. They do speed up things a little bit, but overall combat and movement is just, I think, too slow. I think they need to speed it up a little bit now. I don't think a huge amount, because I know they don't want to just throw ghosts at you and then it gets rid of the scares of when a ghost does show up. But the problem is you're fighting the same ghost forever because they won't go into their attack phase. They'll just walk around you, disappear, walk around you, disappear, walk around you, disappear. Okay, now I'm going to attack. It just takes too long for those cycles to, happen. It would be better if these ghosts were maybe a little bit more aggressive, or if there was a guaranteed way to trigger certain attacks of theirs. I think that would have been, maybe doing that and maybe doing a little bit more damage with the camera overall would help speed these combats up and just make the ghosts maybe a little faster. Still keep it to where they don't appear all the time and, have them have a lot of health. But just allow the combat to, if you play smart, go a lot quicker than just having to, constantly wait. I think that would be the better way to do combat, and I hope if they come up with another one, they do that. Because, like I said, I think just the overall speed of movement to combat really hurts this game. The other thing I think that hurts this game is a new system called the Shade, I believe it's called, or Fade, or I forget what it's called, but basically you push one of the buttons and it will show you a kind of a ghostly person and which way they go, and that's how you find where you need to go. The problem I have with this is it kills exploration. First of all, the maps are a little smaller and a little bit more linear than other Fatal Frames, where you have these big mansions or houses or whatever with multiple rooms to go through and you have to backtrack. This one, it's more of a go to point A to point B situation, and I feel it hurts the exploration and the tension of always having to run into ghosts, because they're a little bit more scripted, I've noticed in this one, than in the past ones. It makes it great for people who hated that in the previous ones, but for me, I liked the original ones because of that, having to figure out where you have to go. It was, given to you, but not given to you. This one just tells you, okay, just go there. Just walk right over there and you're good. Versus you having to remember certain, having to answer riddles, do puzzles, which has also been played down a lot more with this. The cool part of this game, though, is the new kind of water meter. So if you're in like the rain or getting really wet, it increases this meter at the bottom of the screen. And if it fills up, you're going to be attacked by very powerful ghosts. These ghosts can also do special attacks that drain your health. It sucks. I actually like that because it adds to that tension of, having to really watch what you're doing and move quickly in certain situations, so those things don't happen. It also reminds me of 3, where at the very end you have to use a stupid candle, and if it goes out, you're going to get attacked by stupid ghosts, and not just the normal ghosts. Freaking tattooed lady's going to show up and wipe the floor with you. Other than that, like I said, I think they just need to pick up pace on most of this and get rid of the, find a happy medium between just telling you where to go and just barely giving you enough information where to go, and find a happy middle. There's other stuff you can do. Find books and, lore on the floor, which is really good. And yeah, that's pretty much it for gameplay. So for those of you who couldn't figure out, like I said, I love Fatal Frame. It's a fun little horror game. It's one of the only games that actually terrifies me. However, Maiden of Blackwater is, I think, the weakest in this series, and it's also probably the least scary. However, it's still entertaining, and I do like the lore and the ghosts and the design and some of the stuff. I'm giving Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater a rent verdict. I heavily recommend you try the demo before deciding on buying this game to figure out if it's for you. Mostly because if you like what's in the first 2 chapters, that's pretty much how the whole game plays. If you don't, then don't, because it doesn't change. It pretty much gives you everything in the first 2 chapters, other than a couple of lenses, and those don't change the gameplay that much. So that's it for this review. Thanks for listening, everybody. The next review will be for, I believe, Tomb Raider. So keep an eye out for that. I think it's Tomb Raider and Fallout 4. I will be doing Tomb Raider, while Sinister Dreamer is going to be handling the Fallout 4 review. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter. Check us out at rule3.com once again for articles, other reviews. We are going to try to get some more content up if we have time. Unfortunately, we're getting into the holidays, so all of us are getting really time crunched. So hopefully we get some stuff up. Like I said, I can always guarantee you a review either Friday, Saturday, Sunday for something other than this week, because nothing is coming out. I'm not doing Black Ops because I don't have the time. I'm busy with other things this week. So thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, always remember to trust in the rule of 3.